lovelies, how are you? So my sunglasses on my head, which have just fallen off. I hope everyone's happy and well. I'm just going to adjust my Facebook screen, so Instagrammers, just be mindful for a second. So just reach. Did I turn you off? Anyway, hi Sheena, how are you, darlings? Hello Lee, how are you? I get to see a few people who are watching. I don't know why it tells you some people are watching and some people aren't. Anyway, I haven't quite got my board in order, but I'm not cooking anything super fancy tonight because do you remember last week when I said I accidentally bought like 2 million avocados? Like I seriously was not joking. So I have thousands of ripe avocados. Hey Millie, and I need to use them. So I'm going to make a couple of things. I'm making a chocolate mousse. I know that most of you know how to do it, but I'm going to put it into these little thingies and freeze it into chocolate little ice creamy things. Hey Bazza, I wasn't late. Cheeky bugger. But I do have to leave right on time because I have got a, I'm part of the Australian Psychological Medicine Society, and we have a little meeting every now and then. It's my turn to present, so I've got to be on time. And I'm going to the hairdresser tomorrow so that my ombre, see all of you, my unenforced ombre is about to go. So anyway, what if you're going, how's everyone doing? You're making the salmon patties for dinner. They're a cracker, Annette, aren't they a cracker? You're waiting for a delivery, so you might have to run away. That's okay, Lee. Those salmon patties, that's one of the exact things of, good news, bad news. Remember, I was going to make a boring old quiche, and then because I had nothing to make, no eggs in the last minute, I whipped up that thing. You can use it with tuna. Lots of people have done it with tuna. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to our website, rlmedicine.com blog, and you'll see the cooking recipes are there. I reckon those salmon patties are going to be like my signature dish. But I'm also going to make them. You can make them with chicken mince, and I'm also going to give a crack, trying it with shredded chicken. So that, if you've got some leftover chicken that you don't know what to do with, I reckon you could make chicken avocado patties. Since I've got a few avocados, I'll be able to try them out. Now, here's the key with avocados, right? Obviously, we want them ripe, but if they're too ripe, you don't want too ripe avocados in your chocolate mousse because they will be a bit bitter. So it's like surprise. Woohoo! Each one that goes in is going to be like a super surprise. I'm making like 400 times the amount because I seriously, these aren't all the avocados that I've got to use up, but they're a good chunk of them. You're having Tuscan salmon bake. Beautiful. That sounds good. That sounds awesome. I love salmon. It's so simple. You can just, I feel a bit sad for people that don't like it, but it's so simple and so good for you. So look, basically I've got a thermi. You don't have to do it in a thermi. You can make it in a blender. You can make it with the stick thing. I'm just using the thermi because I barely use it. And I do not want to update it now. I've done that before. Is anyone who's got thermi going, yeah, I'll update? 3 hours later, you're thinking, I should never have done that. Anyway, so basically, I'm just going to weigh in. Now, the original, I've done a mishmash of recipes as usual. There's about 1 million avocado chocolate mousse recipes on, but I'm just using up my avocados. So I'm just going to make it up. We're having avocado chocolate mousse turned into ice cream, Lynn. So look, see, perfect avocado. And now, I think last time you may have seen this trick that I found. I don't know if it'll work every time, but apparently you can just push out the pip. Although I don't reckon it's going to work. Oh, maybe. Don't reckon it's going to work on this one. It's to try and stop you getting avocado hand, which is actually a true thing where people stab themselves in it. It did work. Not perfectly, but did pretty well. So you want your avocados, the thing with the mousse, you do want your avocados perfect. So not too ripe, not overripe. I mean, that is actually a ripper. This week, so you know we're doing our newsletter now, hooray. So in our newsletter we have food of the week, and this week it's actually avocados, another perfect one. Because what I also want to talk to you about, like everybody who goes on to, I tell you, there's a few messages that have been sold well in the health world. One of them is that bananas provide potassium. Does every single person in the world believes that? And I see so many, lovely old people, and I'll say to them, you really probably need to cut down your carbs. And they all have porridge and banana for breakfast. We are very diligent. I don't know what I'm doing. I just almost did avocado knife. I'm just going to plop it out with that thing. And anyway, avocados, 100 grams of avocado has more potassium than 100 grams of banana. So basically, potassium, avocado world, lift your game. Start banging on about that, because people love bananas for the potassium. But really, they'd be better off having an avocado. Okay, now this one might be a bit soft, I don't know. It is quite soft. Soft's good, soft's fine. It's just if it's black, black's bad. You all know that. My mum ate bananas and milk for breakfast for years. Yeah, I did. I had bananas on porridge. I had bananas everywhere. Oh, there's another perfect one. Here I was thinking it was going to be manky, but it's not. So avocados are one of our favourite superfoods. They have beautiful, healthy fat. Remember, all food has a mixture of saturated and unsaturated fat. So when people bang on about saturated fat and unsaturated fat, everything has a mixture. Avocados do have quite a lot of unsaturated fat, but that's okay. And they don't have a big flavour. So the whole idea with this mousse, obviously, is it doesn't taste like avocado. Now, so far, so good. I've hit a record, whatever that is, 3 from 3. This is what happens when you buy the odd bunch. You get all different sizes. Seriously, I might go and put a Tassel ticket in. I'm absolutely smashing these out. Smashed avos. There's a little joke for you, darlings. So what's been going on this week? So from my point of view, a couple of things that I want to talk to you about while I'm scooping out avocados. As you know, we spend a lot of time at Real Life Medicine helping people get out of the way of themselves, really. So the biggest block to any lifestyle change is yourself. It's the stories that come up in your head that stop you doing what you want to do. I'll give you an example. I spoke briefly to a lady on the phone today. She rang about something else, and is an old client. Did our 12-week course like last year. I said, "How are you going?" She goes, "I'm no good, love." I go, "Why not?" She goes, "Well, I got sick of eggs for breakfast." And my brain goes, "So?" I didn't say that because that would be rude, but I was just thinking, okay, isn't that interesting? Your brain said you can't do this because you're sick of eggs for breakfast. Isn't that funny? And obviously, there's lots more to a Real Life Medicine program than eggs for breakfast. Like, that's like a speck on Earth. But that's the story her brain has given her, and in her mind it sounded pretty reasonable. She was disappointed because she had chickens. She said, "I've got all these eggs and I don't want to eat eggs for breakfast." Thinking, I did tell her about my, it's not my recipe, but the boiled egg chocolate mousse recipe, which is a cracker. Again, if you haven't got avocados, but you've got, 10 dozen eggs to use up, you can make chocolate mousse. This works, this little, pop your egg out business without mashing up your hand. So far, I'm up to 600 grams of avo, which is quite a lot, but that's all right. And I reckon that one can stay. This one can come in. So we often talk about the stories that are in your head that are keeping you stuck. Now, again, for those gorgeous people in our 12-week, that was a lot of our coaching from last week. It was all about your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings actually create your actions. We act on our feelings. And the classic example of this, yes, this is my plan, Lee. I'm making so much of it, and I'm putting it into these little muffiny tins, and I'm going to freeze it. That will stop anybody hogging it all at my house. And I don't eat this stuff much anymore, so it will, keep it sort of under control. I don't, you know my thoughts. So I'll give you a couple of examples about, so your thoughts create your feelings create your actions. For a lot of us, our thoughts around food and our thoughts particularly around not having food is scarcity, denial, and deprivation. So we head into the thought is, and there's a couple of ways, a couple of sentences that I hear people say. Some people say, I'm not prepared to give that up. I go, it's all right, it's your business, it's your body, it's your mouth, it's your everything. You don't have to convince me about that. But listen to the mindset behind that sentence. I'm not prepared to give that up. Interesting, isn't it? Like, it's a really interesting mindset, because what does that tell? That when we have that, then we're clearly thinking that everything that we're doing is somehow depriving ourselves, that we're giving it up, that we're giving up all this food. And I know that's a mindset. I used to have it. I know it so well. I used to have it that, the food's so delicious and I can't have it, and it's, poor me, and it's hard, and everyone else can have food like that, and everyone else can eat it, and I can't, because if I eat it, I'm going to get fat, and if I get fat, I'll get sick. All those stories went on. But what if the story isn't that? What if the story is it's so good that I have found my taste again by not eating sugary food? Then your action is that you are much more likely to not eat sugary food, because your thought about it is not, well, I'm not prepared to give that up. Your thought is, isn't it great that I've done that? It takes a while to get these sorts of things happening. I don't ever expect people to be able to get it straight away, because we've had years and years of conditioning about food and alcohol and what it all means for us and all that sort of stuff. So some cacao powder. So I've got 800 grams of these beautiful ripping avocados, and I'm going to put in, I reckon, so cacao, these are our 2 food of the weeks. Avocados are on the Facebook post, and I'm giving you a sneak peek. Cacao, or cocoa, is on the Instagram post. So we go into what's the difference. So I won't bore you with that now, but I've done just under a cup. So that goes in there. I've got sweetener. As you know, I don't usually use sweetener, but I can tell you now, this stuff needs a little bit of sweetener. Even hardcore people would find it is too bitter. And so I'm putting in about 3/4 of a cup. Now I've just got this one. You can use whichever one you like. If I had some options, I'd probably use a finer one, just because it's not being baked, it's being whipped. And I'm going to put a bit of vanilla essence in. There's a couple of other things you can put in anything you like, because remember, you're the boss of the kitchen. Some other things that could add a bit of zing to this would be a little bit of chili. If you wanted to have a chopped chili, avocado mousse, that would be a bit fancy for a dinner party. You can obviously, if you had some peppermint oil, you could put in oil and have a chopped mint peppermint mousse. If you had, I could put in some cinnamon. I've put that in before. I actually just can't find it at the moment, somewhere in my cupboard. I'm using cream tonight. You can use, if you want to make it dairy-free, you can clearly use coconut cream. This is just standard pouring cream. I always have a snigger. 1 star. A load of bollocks. 1 star. Yes, Sheena, chili, I know. I reckon posh dinner party, get out some bit of chili, then put a little bit of some sort of crumbly thing on top. So I'm just going to whack in maybe most of this, 600 mils. We'll see what it looks like. What have I done? Because it's going to whip. That's the thing. So it's going to whip up. So it doesn't matter. It's not going to be watery like a milk drink. I've done that before. I thought I'll make a thick drink. Yeah, I just whipped it up into nothing. So I'm actually just going to pour that whole lot in. So the ratios are 800 grams of avocado, give or take, 600 mils of milk, not milk, cream, give or take, a cup of cacao, bit under, and a bit under a cup of sweetener, and a couple of teaspoons of thingy. Now, sorry, very loud noise for a minute. Just get rid of this. Just bear with me. to undo it before it's ready. You've got a thermi, it's arms, it's a robot. It's a complete robot. Okay, let's have a little look at this. Oh, it's full of air. Seriously, it's very ice creamy looking. I mean, look at that. So I'm just checking that it's all being mixed through before. Yeah, it's good. So a minute in the thermi. If you're doing a stick blender, it might take a bit longer just to get air through the cream. Good flavour. I'm happy with it. Whingy pop kids probably think it's a little not sweet enough. It's not super sweet, but it's not nearly as. I can make some pretty bitter ones. And I'd probably put a bit more cocoa in if I was doing that. I reckon I'm just going to whip it for maybe another 30 seconds just to get a bit more oomph into it. But you can see, just play around with food. Just nothing has to be perfect. Just give it a crack. Oh, I missed that last comment. I'm sorry about that. Something about trouble. Something or other. Went up too quickly. All right, that'll do. So thoughts create your feelings, which create your actions, and actions clearly create your results. Now this is where lots and lots of programs, lots of plans, lots of things fall down because they focus purely on the action. That's what a meal plan is. It's just the action. Okay, whenever somebody says, just do this, and you go, okay, and then if you don't do it, we then get cross with ourselves and think, why am I so hopeless? Why don't I just do what they told me? Why can't I just eat what I was supposed to eat? Because you didn't adjust your thoughts and your feelings around that. I'm just grabbing another spoon. Very handy just having my kitchen drawer here so I can just zip back and forth. So whenever, and you have to work on these all the time. Sometimes what happens, because again, your thoughts, like this, do you like this? Your thoughts, mate, look at this. Doesn't that look good? There's a nice little Instagram shot for you if I, knew how to do all that stuff. Your thoughts create your feelings. Your thoughts are, and your thoughts can be about what we call, it's technically, in CBT terms, it's called a neutral event, but that's a little bit hard to wrestle with because sometimes your brain says, well, it's not neutral. So I just call it a factual event. So I'm going to give you an example of a factual event and people's different ways of managing it. So the factual event might be, there's a wedding coming up. Okay, nobody's going to disagree with you. Yes, there's a wedding coming up. It is scrumptious, Dorothy. So it might be, there's a wedding coming up, that's your thought. So that's the event. And then your thought is all about, well, your thought could be multiple things. So my old thought would have been, oh, goody, a wedding. I'll be able to drink lots of champies. They'll have amazing dessert. There's probably going to be chocolates and biscuits. And that would have been my thought. Nothing really about the bride, poor thing. Certainly nothing about connecting with my friends. Anything about that was always about the food. And then it became a sort of little game with myself. How much could I eat without anyone else noticing? Does anyone else relate to that? How many times could I go to the buffet, or how many times can I put my hand in the box of chocolates that's sitting on the table without anyone else noticing? And if I could do it without people noticing, then that gave me like another turn. It's like I got 3 turns. I thought 3 times was acceptable, unless anyone didn't see, and then I got an extra go. Weird, isn't it? That was my mind. That was my mindset. It was all about getting the food. Sorry, licking my finger because I don't want chocolate mousse everywhere. So now with these, you just sort of bang them down a bit, or not. Or you might have to get this in, because what I want to do is flatten it down, because it's obviously not going in the oven or anything, it's just going to go straight in the freezer. So I just wanted a nice little thing like that. So whereas these days my thoughts around any social gathering, that the foods are largely irrelevant. You know, it really is. It's not the reason I go. It's not the main event. It's irrelevant. There will be something there that I can eat or make it edible for me. Might mean butchering a very delicately organized thing. I don't do the dessert. I don't do desserts, apart from this stuff. But if I go out, I don't usually do desserts. I will do the cheese. Could I have a dessert? Of course. I'm the boss of me. I can do whatever I want. But I don't want the dessert. That is not, because I often find now that the idea of the dessert is much better. Has anyone done this? The idea of the food is actually much better than the actual food. Does anyone ever find that they've spent all this time dreaming about it, and then you eat it and it's like, oh well, it wasn't that good, and now it's gone. That happens to me all the time. So there you go. They're just going to go into the freezer like that. Now, I didn't have any more tins, and I knew I had lots more mousse, so I'm doing some square ones, and then I'll probably just keep some in the bowl for, the people in my house that might actually eat it. But this is a great way to eat up your avocados in one go. Because I tell you what, today I spent quite a lot of time looking for avocado recipes, because I'm thinking I've got like 12. So I looked up, avocado chocolate brownies, and it used one. I'm thinking, well, that's not going to cut it. There was a very nice avocado salad dressing that used, in fact, I got it out in case we had time, but we don't. The avocado salad dressing, again, make it up. You don't have to worry about the numbers. Greek yogurt, avocado, some salt, and I was going to put this stuff in it, which is a mingle one. It's called Holy Moly Guacamole. But the thing that I like, and I don't know if this even has it in it. No, it doesn't. Oh yeah, lime. I was about to say, it smells limey, because with an avocado dressing, you add a bit of lime in, zing, it's beautiful. So that was going to be my thing that I would make if I had more time and didn't have enough. So my darlings, have a think about this concept. Your thought to a neutral event or a factual event creates your feelings. And your feelings are what drive your long-term behavior. We can override that action with willpower, short-term, but it will not work long-term. You can go to a wedding and not eat anything, but if your thought the whole time is, I wish I could eat it, this is hard, this is killing me, you're not going to survive many weddings that way. You're not going to survive anything, actually, because it just means you're using your willpower, you're white-knuckling it. But we all run out of willpower from time to time. Well, these look good. These will be like little... See, imagine how fancy these would be for a dinner party, right? You pop them out, and then you might serve them with a bit of some raspberries, either fresh or frozen, a bit of raspberry coulis you could make. And all of a sudden, you've got these very fancy-looking sort of avocado... you're just a chocolate parfait. So, now that we're out of lockdown Melbourne peeps and we can have some people over, maybe that's what I'll do. Make a little chocolate mousse parfait. Just need to spread it out a little bit. Beautiful. Good. Righto, darlings, they're going in the freezer too. Just tidy that up a bit. God. I've got a tea towel. So have a wonderful, wonderful night. Oh, I have got a little favour. If any of you have listened to the podcast, it is our 1 year anniversary. And we would really like to get into the top 10 again for this week. So if you're on Apple, can you please leave us a little review? Even just some stars, but especially helps if you write a little something. But yeah, can you believe it? We've been doing the podcast for 1 year. This week's podcast is called What's the Big Deal with Sugar? Mary gets a bit of a biochem nerd and talks about advanced glycosylated end products. And I talk about toast. There we go. Darlings, have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I will see you all next week. Actually next week. Next week is Cup Day in Melbourne. I'm actually not going to do a cooking show because I might be out gallivanting at a barbecue. So I'll see you all the week after. Have a wonderful week, darlings. Bye.